At my son's funeral, the scent of fresh flowers had not yet faded when his ex-wife, Lena Vance, walked in. The woman who had abandoned him 15 years ago without a word, without support, and without a single visit during his long illness, arrived in a sharp black dress and 4-inch heels. The room fell silent as she announced, "I am here to claim what belonged to me. The $24 million estate my husband left behind. As his lawful wife, I have every legal right to it." Before we go on, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a free way to support my work and help me share emotional stories like this one. I could furry tighten in my chest as I stared at my son's name, David, etched into the brass plate of his coffin. He hadn't been in the ground 10 minutes, and she was already clawing at what was left of him. I didn't turn to face her immediately. My late husband used to say I had the patience of a stone wall, and that day I needed it. Lena's young, nervous lawyer thumbed through papers talking about survivor rights, oblivious that she had signed away every claim in their divorce settlement years ago. I glanced at my lawyer, Sarah Chen, who was already pulling a folder from her bag. She gave me a small, reassuring nod. "Not the time yet. Just wait." The whisper around the room grew louder. People were stoned, some looking at me, expecting me to break. But I slowly turned to face Lena. Her eyes met mine with the cool confidence of a woman who thought she had won. She raised her chin, her voice growing louder. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to collect what is legally mine." My voice, calm and colder than hers, finally cut through the tension. "You are not his wife. You are not his wife, not anymore." Sarah stepped forward, a quiet shadow, and handed the officiant a copy of the divorce decree, stamped, sealed, and notarized. A full waiver of future claims to assets finalized over a decade ago. The hush that followed was deafening. I didn't need to say another word. The truth was in the ink. I had spent 15 years raising my son alone. After she left him with nothing but medical debt and a broken heart, I was there for every radiation appointment, every surgery, every late-night call when the pain came. She had vanished, only the return when the money made it worthwhile. As I walked out of the chapel, I didn't look back at her. The whispers behind me swallowed into a low murmur, but I kept walking, with Sarah at my side. I know this was not over, not by a long shoot. The funeral were just the beginning. We didn't leave the chapel in silence. Lena's sharp, trembling voice followed me out the door. We drove to Sarah's downtown office. She laid 2 documents on the table, David's last will and testament, dated 9 months before his death, which left every asset to me and made no mention of Lena, and the divorce settlement from 15 years ago. "Lena has nothing to stand on," Sarah said, her voice mewed, "but she is old. I expect she will escalate." I noted, my jaw clenched. If she wanted a war, I would meet her at the front lines. I had mourned my son with every fiber of my being. Now I would defend what he left behind. We met with the officiating judge for an emergency probate procedure. A temporary protection order over the estate was issued within the hour, confirming Lena's claims were invalid. The truth was on our side, but I knew she would go public. That evening I opened a private video letter from my son. He sat in his favorite chair by the window, his voice calm. He spoke about the foundation he wanted me to build, the community scholarships, the memorial garden. He spoke about me, about how I had stood by him, If he comes back, he said, I need you to stand your ground. He walked away from me, but you, Mom, you never did. You deserved everything I left to you. I chose you. That was the moment my doubt vanished. I had carried, gave, and furry all week, but now I had clarity. She wanted to weaponize public opinion. I would hold up the truth. The next morning, Lena posted a photo on my son. Captions, heartbroken to say goodbye to the love of my life. May justice be served. The comments flooded in, filled with sympathy emojis and words like brave and tragic. Eyes grow fast in the right soul. I text Sarah, already monitoring. We are preparing a timeline for release. We decided to hold a public dedication for the foundation my son had wanted to create. It was more than a press release, it was a public commitment. We chose City Hall as the venue. The mayor had already expressed support. 3 days later, I walked into a packed auditorium. Sarah began the event, and then the screen lit up with a video of my son, dated 5 weeks before his death. It was a calm, clear explanation of his decisions. He left, he said plainly. When I needed her most, she was gone. And when I built something worth returning for, she came back. I cannot allow that to define my legacy. I am choosing the person who never left. The room was silent. I walked to the podium and read the names of the first scholarship recipients. Then I addressed the situation directly. Some of you may have seen posts online are rumors. I will not respond to gossip. I will respond with evidence. The screen displayed emails from my son, his legal documents, and the divorce decree with Lena's signatures on the waiver of rights. Then came a final slide, an email from Lena to a friend, forwarded anonymously to Sarah's office. I don't care what it takes. I'm going back to get what should have been mine. We owed me, and if his mother want a war, I'm ready. I looked at the audience. That was her story. This is mine, and this foundation, this work, this legacy belongs to the man who earned it. A full room of applause followed. I didn't smile or bow. I just nodded and returned to my seat. Lena, who had arrived late, sat in the back row. When the light came on, she stood and left, her heels clicking loudly on the floor. She wanted to be heard. No one followed. The day after the event, Lena posted a new video. It was a spliced, edited clip on my son's voice taken out of context to make it sound like he regretted changing his will. It was a fabrication, but it was subtle enough to be believed. Sarah and I met again. We didn't panic. We released the full, unedited video of my son's message. We distributed a packet of evidence from his business partner and his nurse, Daniel, documenting his disappointment in Lena and her actions. At a press briefing, Sarah opened with a single sentence. Misinformation is dangerous. Here is the truth. We played the full video and distributed the documentation. Lena didn't respond publicly, but the damage was visible. A community blog that had praised her issued a retraction. The comments turned against her. Still, it wasn't enough for me. So I had Priya, my son's CFO, release an internal memo he had written during his final hospital stay. In it, he wrote, I don't want my name used for anything fake, anything shallow. If people are going to remember me, let it be for what I actually did and who actually stood by me. It didn't mention Lena, but it exposed every one of her lies. That night, Sarah called me again. She felt a motion to contest the will. He said claims your son was coerced. I told her I was not afraid of records. The deeper she dug, the more she would uncover the truth she was trying to bury. The motion accused me of undue influence of emotionally manipulating my son. I sat alone at my kitchen table, the same table where I had once shaved his head during chemo. To read that motion was to relieve every painful hour I had sat by his side. I let myself feel the grief, and I remembered who I was, the mother who stayed. We prepared a rebuttal, and affidavit with Daniel's testimony, prior statement, and all the documentation. I also wrote a letter for the foundation. He believed in truth that did not need to shout to be heard. I did not do it for reward. I did it because I loved him and because I believed in what he wanted this foundation to be. The ruling came on a Wednesday morning. The motion to contest the will was dismissed in full. The judge found the evidence clear. My son had Rena's sound mind. His decisions were deliberate. Lena's claims were described as unfounded, speculative, and intentionally misleading. The court then ordered a hearing to review sanctions against her legal team for abuse of process. Her request to close the hearing to the public was denied. That's when I decided I would attend. I sat in the back row and watched as her lawyer tried to argue. She had acted out of grief. The judge stopped him. The grief of losing a man who abandoned does not excuse the manipulation of this court. He recommended sanctions. The court issued a freeze on her accounts. Her story was flooded. As I walked out, I didn't bother. I didn't need to. I had what I came for. My son's wishes protected. His legacy intact. A week later, I received a handwritten letter from her. You have taken everything. I have nowhere left to go. I put it in a drawer and did not despond. Then I received a call from the city office. They wanted me to join an advisory council to help older women navigate financial abuse and family conflicts. My story had quietly reached more ears than I realized. I accepted. I told, though, these women that clarity is not cruelty, that boundaries are not betrayal, and that speaking the truth does not make you heard. It makes you whole. I never mentioned Lena's name. She had become irrelevant. She was no longer a shadow standing in my doorway. The next spring, I planted roses, the clinging kind, meant to hold their own through sun and storm. And this house was quiet again, not empty, just quiet in the right way. Sarah moved in with me, and we drank our tea every evening, laughing about the headlines. The world had seen a story of a widow who took down her son, but we know what really happened. It was a quiet reclaiming of self, the rebuilding of a life not around the pain. But beyond it, I still get letters from women I have never met. They don't ask for magic, just trust, and I give it to them, plain and unwavering. You are not alone. You never were, because that, I realize, was the real justice, not the headlines or court feelings about, but the ripple effect, the quiet revolution happening one conversation at a time. The real trump wasn't the settlement, it was the peace that now lived on that hill. It was the knowledge that I had told the truth and survived it. And in that space, I found a joy that hummed softly under the surface. A forgiveness not offered to others, but given gently to myself. If this story gripped you, go watch the one of the left and hit the like button. It really helps me keep sharing emotional stories like this. If you want to feel this kind of strength in your own life, remember that your story has power. Don't be silent. Share your experience in the comments below, and let's build a community of survivors who refuse to be erased.